After some time has passed with the events with Ginjo and the execution, Soul Society has noticed the disappearance of a large amount of hollows. Captain Kurotsuchi has an odd suspicion of who caused this anomaly. Elsewhere, Ryunosuke Yuki and Shino Madarame get assigned to watch over Karakura Town. Ryunosuke shares his concerns with Shino of the large amount of hollows in the area. He also points out the rumors of a powerful Quincy living there. They arrive and start their patrol, only for hollows to quickly take them out. On the verge of losing consciousness, Ryunosuke sees Ichigo and his friends save him and Shino from certain death. Waking up in Ichigo's room, Ryunosuke is relieved to see that Shino is okay. All of a sudden, a mysterious man by the name of Iba appears. Kicking him out of the window, Ichigo takes Iba elsewhere to fight. Ichigo asks if he's an Arankar and why he wants to fight him. Iba, taking offense to being called an Arankar, reveals a Quincy's cross and manifests a bow of some sort. The two engage in a little skirmish as Abern's goal is to try and get Ichigo's dormant Soul Reaper powers. Failing to do so, Aber manages to escape. Back at home, Ichigo hears about what happened in Soul Society and the death of Assistant Captain Chojiro Sasakibe. Going on patrol, Ichigo runs across Nell and Peixe. He brings them back home and is told about the situation happening in Hueco Mundo. Everyone except Ishida agrees to go help. Back at Soul Society, Kurotsuchi confirms the disappearance of hollows and the invaders that killed Assistant Captain Chojiro Sasakibe was caused by an army of Quincies. Ichigo and company arrive in Hueco Mundo and see that it's been taken over by a militant group. He engages in combat with the Quincy Kirige Opi. The two clash for a bit as Apache, Rose, and Sunsun summon Aeon. Aeon gets absorbed by Kirige's holy slave, and Ichigo takes over the fight once more. While Ichigo is preoccupied, the Quincies set out to invade Soul Society. In a matter of minutes, 4 Bankai have been stolen and thousands of lives have been lost. Seeing how dire the situation is, Akon tries to get a hold of Ichigo through contacting Kisuke. Back at Hueco Mundo, Ichigo is slightly overpowering Kirige. After hearing the situation in Soul Society, Kisuke assists Ichigo in his fight and tells him to head over. When Kisuke drops his guard, Kirige rushes in the Garganta and locks the entrance. It's here that he makes his final stand to keep Ichigo from reaching Soul Society. As Ichigo continues his fight with Kirige, The tides are getting worse for the Goatee 13. They experience unexpected defeats and a major loss. The Quincy leader Yuhaba begins to leave as Ichigo finally arrives. After talking with Byakuya, Ichigo blocks Yuhaba's path with an arrow. Yuhaba praises Ichigo for defeating Kirige, but tells him he arrived too late. Hashwalth tries to fight Ichigo, but Yuhaba tells him he wants to assess his capabilities firsthand. Yuhaba charges in and stabs Ichigo for it to be blocked by Blood Vein. Yuhaba is disgusted and tells Ichigo he is a failure. He continues and says that Ichigo is the shame of all Quincies if he relies on the Soul Reaper powers within to amplify his attacks. He ends by saying that Ichigo's current power doesn't scratch the surface when compared to his mother. Ichigo tries firing an arrow as he leaves, only for it to fade away. After checking on Rukia and Renji in the Squad 4 barracks, Ichigo is summoned to see Mayuri about his Quincy bow. He tells Ichigo that there's nothing wrong with it. He tells Ichigo that the cause is due to a mental block. Asking what he should do, Ichigo is interrupted as Mayuri tells him that Squad 0 is coming. Ichigo along with the other captains wait for Squad 0 to arrive. A palanquin drops from the air as 5 colorful characters appear. After gathering Byakuya, Rukia, and Renji, Squad 0 turns their attention to Ichigo. Ichibei tells Ichigo that he will also be going back with them to the royal palace. Confused, Ichigo asks if it's okay for a Quincy to go there. Ichibei tells him no, but they'll make an exception for all he's done for Soul Society. Once there, Tenjiro heals their wounds and Kiryu feeds them. Ichigo and Renji then head to Uetsu, who's the creator of the Zanpakuto. As Uetsu watches over Renji's training, he asks Ichigo why he's still there. He continues and states that he can't help him with his mental block. Before Ichigo can respond, Uetsu sends him home. In front of his home, Ichigo begins to think about what Mayuri said. At that moment, Ichigo is reminded of how he had to harness his dormant Shinigami powers into his arrow to defeat Aizen. He also thinks about everything he went through with the execution just to get his Quincy powers back. Ishin appears and says it's time for Ichigo to learn about him and his mother. After learning the truth, Ichigo says that he finally understands where he gets his Quincy powers from. Ishin tells him he's half right and explains that all Quincies get their powers from Yuhaba. Ichigo protests and tells him how his power manifested trying to save Rukia and his sisters from a hollow attack. Ishin with a heavy heart tells Ichigo that Yuhaba's blood runs through his veins. Hearing this, Ichigo is brought to his inner world and is face to face with Old Man Zangetsu. Distraught, Ichigo asks questions. He tells Ichigo who he is and that his original goal was to train him to join the Vanderreich when they returned. After seeing the Soul Reapers help Ichigo become a Quincy again, his goal changed. He reveals a sword and tells Ichigo that this is Zangetsu. He fuses with Zangetsu, telling Ichigo he can now truly fight at full power. Ichigo returns to Uetsu as he is putting the final touches to his Zanpakuto. While all this is happening, the Quincies have begun their final invasion. Not only did the Quincies successfully invade the Sarate, they completely changed the terrain to have the advantage. Back at the royal palace, Ichigo is ready to return to Soul Society. Having to go on foot, Ichigo rushes after being told the Quincies started their invasion 3 hours ago. Squad 0 is still in disbelief that a Quincy is using a Zanpakuto. On his way back, Ichigo calls Kisuke and tells him to hold on until he gets there. As the war rages on, the Goatee 13 have managed to defeat a handful of Quincies. Seeing a chance to take down one of the 5 war potentials, the Bambis attack a weakened Kenpachi. Just before they can finish him off, Ichigo arrives to stop them. Cloaked in Ishi Hakusho, Ichigo fights as a Soul Reaper for the very first time. At this point in the what-if scenario, Things play out as they did in the canon story. Ichigo fends off the Bambis, he fights Ishida like he did in the anime, he revives Ichibei, takes out the Soul King, and gets defeated by Askin. The only minor difference is the reaction from Ichigo's allies seeing him as a Soul Reaper. We now fast forward to Ichigo and Orihime arriving where Yhwach awaits. After exchanging a few words, Ichigo draws his Zanpakuto and attacks. All his attempts are blocked, and Ichigo struggles to get close. Using some of his Quincy's spiritual pressure, Ichigo forces his hollow powers to appear. With this new form, Ichigo was able to pressure Yhwach. This prompts him to take the fight more seriously. Ichigo decides to do the same and performs Bankai. His dual Zanpakuto turns into a bow, allowing Ichigo to fight like a Quincy at full power. Unfortunately, Yhwach breaks his Bankai with the Almighty. After defeating Ichigo, Yhwach leaves to destroy Soul Society and the world of the living. With Tensa Zangetsu broken, Ichigo had lost the will to fight. Out of nowhere, Tsukishima uses his ability on Ichigo. This allowed Orihime to revert the bow back to its original state. With that, Ichigo and Renji head out to put a stop to Yhwach. With Aizen stalling Yhwach, Ichigo and Renji were able to join the battle. Overpowering all three of them, Yhwach failed to notice he was under Suigetsu's influence. In that moment, Ishida appears and fires a silver arrow and cancels Yhwach's abilities. Without hesitating, Ichigo deals the finishing blow. Ten years have passed since Ichigo defeated Yhwach. Soul Society has been living in times of peace. Rukia has been appointed captain of the 13th Division. As for Ichigo, he's been living with his wife Orihime and Soul Reaper's son Kazui.